guys. We got here this morning and there was a huge heap of rubble in the middle here, so we've just piled it up around the edge. I'm not sure why people think it's funny to fill the old glass house floor with rubble, but we've cleared it up anyway. It's a shame we don't have a sweeping brush, but I don't really think there's much point at this time of year anyhow. Give you a little peek about down the orangery and potting shed and up to the house itself. Have a little walkabout around the perimeter of what was the house. So we're now standing outside of the Titus Salt Junior's turning room. This little heap here with the tree was his private WC. This was the outside covered up cellar steps. This was his turning room, this part here. And over there was his billiard room. So you can see actual floor level of the house, which is elevated. So we're now walking around the exterior perimeter of the turning room, and we come to the end where this tree is, and the house would have started right up in that corner where you can see that corner piece poking out. And this was the gentleman's entrance up the steps into his wing. There would have been a doorway that led into the turning room. It would have gone that way, and the corridor that way would have led into the house, into here. This is the window to the office, would have been his private office. See how buried it is. You can see what the house would have looked like and the various stepped features, and also the carving of a doorway. So if we just slide down slightly, the steps go all the way down. There is actually 5 steps. So floor level in the house is 100% elevated. So we are now in Milner Field House, technically, looking at Titus Salt Junior's unique hallway with the brickwork, and that would have looked into the house. But obviously we have a fair bit digging, if time permits. Interestingly, what we didn't know was this portion where there would have been actually a doorway has the cross design in the hallway set into the brickwork in blue, yet this portion has a stripe design that probably would have gone further up. There would probably been another set of stripes. Oh, there was, look. You can see the twin stripes at the top and the twin stripes at the bottom, but obviously that portion of brickwork's gone. And as I said, this was the doorway that led to his turning room, or his workshop. We come round and we can actually walk down the gentleman's steps. There's a bit more to do. We did actually dig quite a lot of this out last week, but obviously it's autumn and the leaves are falling. But you can quite clearly see now the run of the house. The house actually jutted out at this corner here and then would have carried on in a straight line right down to the porch. Quite interesting, huh? Nearly fell. Joys. We have been very careful while removing original brickwork. It has rained a lot since last week, and obviously autumn is in full flow now, so the leaves are falling. But what's amazing is we can actually see where the house started, instead of all this guesswork of, oh, the house is in here somewhere. I come back down to courtyard level. You can see how far back the house actually was. Quite deceptive, all these mounds of rubble. We really didn't have a clue. You would assume the house started somewhere out here with all the rubble, but clearly slid down over the decades since demolition. Having a little walk. So technically we are in the courtyard now, running down the side of the house. The archway is just that gap in the trees, and it was perfectly aligned with the porchway. Unfortunately, we have a whopper, but we did manage to trace an outline, which I hope you can see. This is the original stone footings to one side of the porch, and it ran all the way up to the house itself. I only got this far. Would presume it goes back a little bit more, because I would think that the house is basically somewhere where this tree is. We turn around and I would be stood in the vestibule right now. Porch was down here. I'm not really sure how wide the porch was, but I would assume it was quite wide. I would presume that the porch footings on the other side are somewhere under here. But unfortunately, the tree roots are not going to allow us to excavate that. But we have these beauties that we've partially uncovered. These would have been the lintels to the triple windows in the hallway. And you can still see glass that was bonded directly into the stone. This would have been the inside portion, if memory serves correctly, from the photographs. And then there's various other pieces that look like they belong to the porch window, with the carving that's seen throughout the house and outbuildings. But it is crazy to wonder what is under this compacted earth and tree roots and more evidence of the house. So yeah, we would have been inside the hallway now, and we would be heading towards the staircase. So underneath of here somewhere would have been the staircase. Not that it would still be here, it would have been long gone. And right here would have been two large cathedral style windows. They were very high up on the house, but they would have been here. They were the stairwell windows, I believe you probably would have seen from the first floor. And if I turn around and show you the opposite view, tons of rubble, but now covered in ivy. And then if we head up to the opposite side of where we've dug out, you will see the other side to the hallway, which is here. This corner here, where you can see the the sort of indent carving was actually the doorway to Titus Salt's billiard room. So if I come out, I am now technically in the billiard room. And if we look over the wall, you can see the other side of a hallway, and then you follow it over, you can still see some of the brickwork in situ, and then we're back into the entrance to the billiard room and the hallway. So somewhere over here, this is the hallway. The brickwork abruptly ends there. Whether or not it's been smashed or that was the doorway to the office, I would surmise that it's been smashed. But basically somewhere around here was Titus Jr.'s doorway to his office, which have been here. So if I clamber over, technically we are in the office, because there's the window, or what remains of the window. And over here we see outline of brickwork still in situ, and a huge piece here, which, believe it or not, under there is quite a large square of still in situ house. But basically this would have been the office. So it is still guesswork, a lot of guesswork, but at least you know where you are in the house now, instead of looking at piles of rubble. Orangery doorway that led to the glass house, and this would have been the beautiful drawing room. If I hop back over the wall, you can still see the wall of the corridor that ran in parallel with the drawing room. You can still see plaster work, the sun's not obscuring it too much, and you can still see some of the electrical cable poking out from behind the plaster. Wouldn't it be nice to find a light switch? So yeah, we are technically in the hallway, and if I hop over here, we are now in the drawing room, which really doesn't look like much. Now, somewhere over here, these trees are, would have been a doorway that led to the ante room. Now there is still some sort of structure underneath there. I'm really not sure whether or not this would have been the start of the double archway which led from the hallway into the drawing room. There would have been a beautiful double arch across here with a pillar in the middle, and where that whopping big tree is would have been the bay window. Now the rooms weren't particularly huge considering the size of the house. The house itself wasn't very deep. It was just a long house, glass house included. It ran all the way down, right to the distance down there, down to the kitchen wing. So yeah. If we come down past more brick structure, and we emerge down into what I believe would have been the library. Basically bulldozed their way through the middle of the house when they demolished. Now, these are the remains of the sweeping stairs. You would have walked downstairs here. Here's a remaining section from this way. You can still see all the stone footings, and a buried step right at the bottom. Huge, huge structure this would have been. And on this side there would have been another set of steps leading to this side of the property. So if we walk, the ante room would have been right here. And when I say ante room, I mean back door. The library would have been there, and then further down would have been the dining room, and then you're getting towards the domestic block. If we walk what would have been terrace, we see the remains of the circular bay window, or half circular. Just about see how it winds its way around. Better in person. But we are at the stone footings now of the bay window. There really isn't a lot left, but at least we can make out what was here once. That would have been a huge bay window that had a balcony right at the top, and the boudoir with its stepped corbel window would have been somewhere up there. Now incidentally, we have found, while uncovering decades of ivy, portions of possibly bay window, more likely corbel from underneath the boudoir window. And if we hop over here, no digging required, just pulling back years of ivy, we find ourselves with huge pieces of corbel. I think that has to be my favourite surviving piece. They're basically were the same shape, but they just got smaller as they descended. And these iron pieces, which don't look like much now, but they are seriously heavy. These straight pieces are actually parts of what would have been the opening roof of the glass house. And then we have some pieces of pipe. And if we look in the dirt very carefully, you can actually see all the gravel that would have made up the terrace walkway. And when we pulled back the ivy, we have actually uncovered original rose bushes that were dotted around. Still growing. Though hopefully now they'll do better now the ivy's not strangling them. I mean, they're actually everywhere. Probably a common breed. But hopefully now they will have a chance to grow. It'd be wonderful to see some colour here again, rather than just all the green. This section here is obscured by a huge tree, but this would have been the terrace entrance from a glass house. And you would have been able to open the double doors on a beautiful summer day and enjoy the views, which are now obscured by many, many wild trees, mixed in with Marnock specimens, which are still dotted about, one of which I believe is right in front of us, just heavily overgrown, and quite possibly that beauty as well. It was a planted garden, this lower section. You can still see the wall, the surviving portion anyway, that ran the perimeter of the house the upper terrace, that this was a beautifully planted, kind of like a topiary shaped bushes, particular specimens planted by Robert Marnock. We pop over and enter the glass house. This whole walkway has been buried for we don't know how many years. You can quite clearly see the entrance boundaries. It was full of rubble and soil and ivy, fallen dead trees, and we've just managed to open it back up to how it would have originally looked. We follow the perimeter of the glass house towards the back section. We actually found another interesting piece that we didn't know. We thought maybe it was just a straight run. It's actually some sort of cutout at the back. Even the mosaic flooring. Quite possibly a Robert's addition to the glass house. But when this floor is clean, it's beautiful. It's so pink. You want to try sweeping this up come spring. Some people a while ago quite clearly cleared it of grass. Because back in the early 2000s, this whole area was actually grassed over from years of soil production. So whoever that was, thank you. These days all we have to do is just clean up in spring. We have actually brass brushed the edging to remove some of the moss, just to give it a cleaner appearance. But yeah, coming along nicely, I'd say. Okay, that's our little video for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you want to read more or see more pictures, follow us on Facebook, Milner Field. Thanks for watching.